So, thank you everybody for coming. This talk, although it's written, it's a tutorial, is more on a case study. The part of tutorial is about a demo that we're going to run. And we are talking about the CloudFire Composable Stack platform for efficiency and scalability. Okay, so here is the agenda. We introduce ourselves, and we will present the Gruppo Maggioli case study. That is basically the main topic of the platform. The Gruppo Maggioli, we will be introduced, and we will talk about their application. Then we will go about what CloudFire and SUSE prepared together, and then we will have an overview of what SUSE Rancher Prime is and the unique strengths that will allow the platform, but also maybe will enhance it in the future. So, said that, I will leave Fabio to start.
Okay, so thank you for being here. My name is Fabio, and I'm the CTO in CloudFire. CloudFire is a company founded in 2017 from an idea of Roberto Bondavalli, that is here, and actually founder and CEO. And the idea can be summarized as follows. CloudFire aims to make complex technologies accessible by transforming its know-how into expertise as a service. So manageable through both the portal, that is our customer portal called Cortex, and APIs. Who is Maggioli? Because, okay, this is the Maggioli case study using Rancher, okay? And, okay, Maggioli is an Italian company founded in 1905. In the late 80s, they evolved, adding software development teams specifically focused on public administration solutions. And in between 2000 and 2020, continuous technological innovation in the software industry led by Maggioli to become one of the most widely used service providers for public administration in Italy. As you can see, Maggioli is a very big company. It is a very big Italian company. And okay, as this is the main software of Maggioli that is called SecurWeb, SecurWeb Evo, that is on Kubernetes, okay. So as technical requirements of its client evolved, Maggioli expanded its offering by adding a software suite designed to modernize citizen services and interactions between different government entities. And its most successful solution, the flagship, is called SecurWeb, which, as you can imagine, was initially built as a monolithic software architecture. And so approach this talk on different point of views. So, for example, the transitions between monolith to microservices, but it's not my goal today. And I want to talk about the cloud-native infrastructure layer. So, thanks to the PNRR, that is a European funding program for the technology modernization of public infrastructure, and thanks to the forward-thinking vision of its management. In 2022, Maggioli started working on refactoring its software suite, to adopt cloud-native technologies, which now offer all the necessary production-grade capabilities. And the project goal was to create a software as a service platform for delivering SecurWeb, which we renamed SecurWeb Evo to emphasize its evolution while maintaining its core nature. So the very first proof of concept was developed internally using a Google Cloud Platform, and the first commercial offering was also launched on that hyperscaler. However, due to regulatory and business requirements, Maggioli decided that it needed to deploy the same service on multiple cloud providers. So, for example, Azure or European providers such as CloudFire in Italy and other national cloud provider, for example, Lepida. Okay. and on the on-prem environment. I mean, some cloud providers are not so cloud. Okay. So I try to explain the CloudFire help Maggioli using an analogy. Okay. So imagine you are the major is to ensure that essential services such as water, electricity, and transportation run smoothly for all the citizens. And at first, you decide to build everything by yourself. Okay, and the analogy is using, for example, Google Cloud. But as the city grows, you realize you can't rely on a single provider, so you start outsourcing some services. And for example, you get electricity transportation from a third provider. At first, this sounds great because each provider is an expert in their field. So, but then problems start to arise. So, for example, the electricity company only works with a specific type of power grid that is incompatible with the water system, for example, or the transportation system only accepts a certain type of tickets, which doesn't work with your other city services. If you want providers, each one has their own rules and restrictions. I mean, this is the vendor lock-in in the cloud world. So now let's even harder. Imagine your city needs to expand into new districts in different countries, each one with its own rules, laws, and infrastructure. So different cloud providers like Azure, for example, or as different services, different platform as a service portfolio, and other cloud provider has a different architecture, for example, VMware or Proxmox. Okay, so you want all the services to work seamlessly across the new districts, but each country has different regulations and infrastructure standards. So cloud-specific services that don't easily migrate to other providers. So this is exactly what's happening in IT when companies try to use multiple cloud providers or mix on-prem infrastructure with cloud infrastructure. Every provider has different rules, technologies, and limitations. Moving workloads from one to another is like trying to make the electrical system of the city in another country with completely different voltage and plugs. And if you don't plan properly, you ended up with a city or the entire IT system that is disconnected and inefficient. So how CloudFire solved these issues? Okay, so but this is a diagram of the entire infrastructure of Secret Web. Imagine that instead of relying on separate system, you decide to standardize everything. Okay, create a universal energy grid that works with any electricity provider, and you design a transport system that works with any type of ticket. So this is exactly what CloudFire is doing for multi-cloud and on-premise environment using Rancher to the product. Instead of being locked into a single provider's ecosystem, we provide a cloud-agnostic platform, and our platform is called Cortex that has the Composable stack platform as the backend, and it allows companies like Maggioli to run their services on any cloud provider or on-prem, for example. And in simple terms, CloudFire is like the urban planner that ensures your city runs smoothly, no matter which country, infrastructure, or service provider you choose. Okay, so how many of you has at least one production infrastructure on Google Cloud? Even majority. Well, as you know, every cloud provider enforces it makes distributed infrastructure management difficult. So this is where CloudFire comes in with the simple idea, building a cloud-agnostic platform to manage everything. And this platform is based on Rancher. So our first hypothesis was using Kubernetes, and of course we did it. And we are okay. And how many resources we are managing like this using our infrastructure? Well, we have just for Maggioli 18 Rancher cluster, RK2 clusters that are at this morning under the 50 nodes. 1,800 virtual CPUs and 6.3 terabyte of RAM and 4.5 petabyte of storage using Longhorn. So we are working on infrastructure like this. We are using also custom K10 to provide the disaster recovery from one site to another. That it could be one cloud provider to another, or one cloud provider to on-prem. Okay, so now let's talk about the Composable Stack platform. So, because I thought this project started with Maggioli started in 2022, it has continued evolving into what will become the CloudFire's CloudFire Rancher as a service platform designed to be generalized for any application and available in self-service mode through our portal. Thanks to our certification, we can provide services that has a high level of quality, security, and we can provide solution for public infrastructure, okay, because we are a member of ACN, that is an agency for the cybersecurity in Italy. Okay, so the Composable Stack platform, in the entire platform include Cortex, that is our portal used by the user to manage both the technical aspects and cost-related matters. The internal Rancher cluster of CloudFire, which coordinates the deployment of services from a technical perspective. The actual services, okay, which can be either internal to the CloudFire infrastructure or external, running on different cloud providers or on-prem. Mechanism to collect billing metrics for individual services, as well as technical metrics and logs, which are stored in our data warehouse in a focus format. Okay, the focus format is standardization of billing metrics of the FinOps Foundation, and it's used by Azure, AWS, GCP, and so on. And the last component is Salesforce, which is used not only as a CRM, but as the core engine of the business logic. Okay, so the idea is to break the infrastructure into layers and let Kubernetes manage each layer independently or as a prerequisite for the next layer. So these allow us to deploying bare metal infrastructure, for example, installing OpenStack, VMware, or Proxmox, or even Linux and Windows OS directly. We can manage virtual machine or turning bare metal into Kubernetes nodes. We can run Kubernetes on top of VMs and deploying service, message queue, custom application, and ensuring a unified experience with single sign-on, for example, centralized billing, and FinOps capability across multi-cloud environments. Using CSP, we can deploy each individual layer of the entire infrastructure by leveraging the Kubernetes provided by RK2 and specific operators. For example, if Maggioli needs to deploy a new cluster in the CloudFire infrastructure using dedicated hardware, for example, dedicated bare metal, they can do it starting from Cortex and provision the bare metal service using, for example, Ironic, that is bare metal orchestrator. Okay, it's like a metal cube, something similar. And on top of the bare metal host, we can install, for example, we can make the bare metal host available in the Maggioli's OpenStack project, for example, so they can deploy VMs on OpenStack using that host. And after that, they can activate the Rancher as a service, which will deploy the RK2 or K3S cluster on top of VMs created in OpenStack within the dedicated hardware. And later, if Maggioli decides to add the database as a service using Postgres, for example, they simply need to select the service and choose whether to run it on newly created RK2 cluster or on OpenStack VMs, for example. The operator triggered by the CSP will then create the Postgres instances with all the desired configuration, providing the user with only the database connection strings. So you may ask, what's the difference with, for example, OVH? The difference is that we are a service aggregator. I mean, our product is the platform, is not just the infrastructure. We want to enable customers to use every cloud provider or on-prem infrastructure through our Composable Stack platform. So this is just a screenshot of our platform that is called Cortex. And as you can see, on the left, you have, okay, it's, no, it's not in Italian, this one. On the left, you have all the services. For example, the infrastructure as a service section, where you can find OpenStack as a service, S3, Rancher as a service, database, and so on. But you have also backup as a service and unified communication service, and you have many services. Okay,
so thank you, Fabio. So now that's the part where I try to give you, some details about the product they're using and why, and maybe something for the future, right? So I guess that you spend 3 days at least if you're a partner, or 2 days if you're a customer in these rooms understanding too much. Understanding everything about our solution. But why they decided to use Rancher Prime, or at least starting from Rancher? The first point is that Rancher has unique skills. The first one is that it allows you to run everywhere, right? And the concept behind Rancher is that it manages different distribution of Kubernetes, right? So this is the first thing that I guess that started the guys from CloudFire to pick up the community version and try to help it. They try to use it and understand how to apply it. But then, of course, we were managing services from the group of Maggioli, that is a big provider of services to the citizens. So they needed the enterprise level, right? So this is what SUSE does. It take the innovation, take all the information coming and the great strength from the community, but then it's supported at the enterprise level. So that's what Rancher Prime is. And actually recently, as you know, things, grows and grows around Rancher Prime. You heard this morning, there are a lot of things related to this, the enterprise version of it. And the funny thing of this slide is that everything you see in blue, that is about the freedom of the infrastructure, all the kind of Kubernetes that you can manage, and all the services that you have on top, they come actually in the community version. So you can play with them, but we upgrade the version, keeping the code base the same. So what you can get, and maybe that today is not still in the platform used, because most of the things that we added are very recent, can actually improve the things. And the first one is that, of course, we provide a life cycle at the enterprise level. So whenever they pick up, a stable solution, we can support them for a longer time. But the thing that I prefer and I love, and that you heard this morning, that became also basically is coming as a sort of product by itself, but because it's very, in my opinion, it's very cool, is the application collection. So speaking about security in the cloud native world, is about, in particular, be sure that no one is touching your the images, right? That you trust them, that you can leverage on someone like a vendor, like an enterprise vendor, that guarantee that the application are safe, right? So what we decided to do is that we created this repository that you can access if you have an enterprise account, and every application that is in the cloud native world can be included. What we do is that we use our ability of building distribution since 1992. We built actually open build, so we use our tools, and we grab any code or any image that you're using, typically like Apache tools, Nginx, and we substitute the image below, like Alpine or Debian, that no one is checking if it's, you know, with CV or whatever. We just use our images that are certified, and then we use open build to be sure that we fix all the CV fixable, right? So in Europe, for everyone that is made in Europe, this means that we cover the software supply chain security, right? So we help anyone to be compliant with the NIS2 and all the rules that are about the security. But speaking about, you know, any kind of environment apart from the regulation, the software supply chain security in the open source world is crucial, right? So I made this example many times, but I remember it, you know, recently because on the plane I was bored, and I watched Ocean's 13. So in Ocean 13, in the movie, I don't know if you're familiar with that, they have to take care of, you know, a casino that is impossible to hack, right? But they decided to hack the dice, going to the company in Mexico that built the dice, and they actually changed the software supply, the supply chain of the dices, right? So this is a very clear example of what you can do when you want to apply something that actually impact the end user in a supply chain, right? So we try to avoid that. So the application collection is very powerful for this, and you can add softwares to this. And of course, we do have included in the Prime also the security thing. So we didn't talk about that because, as you know, as a sort of policy, SUSE security wasn't part of the deal. Today, instead, in the Prime, you get security, and so when we talk about security, you get zero trust control security at a several level. But the main thing is that at runtime, right? So our tool in SUSE security guarantee container security at the level of the east-west network, so you can actually monitor what's going on in your clusters. And on top of it, we just bought a company that does observability, right? So you get also the observability, and the cool part of the observability we bought, the stack state, is that we have a very good similarity with what we do with the Rancher. So these tools that is in Rancher today allow you to have an holistic view. So again, it doesn't matter how many clusters you have, you see all of them, right? And when you do observability, it's because you want to solve issue and want you to do troubleshooting. But first of all, you want to prevent them and understand the health of your system. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to watch everything is running, right? This morning, we had the AWS. I don't remember it was a high level man, but I don't remember his role specifically. But he told that it will be available also to AWS. But what he said is that no matter which services you were running with SUSE observability, you will be able to see it holistically. Okay, and this is the first thing that is very good, and I guess that maybe it will be included somewhere in the platform. It could be very useful, but also you get also a lot of tools for remediation that are coming from the Google SRE remediation book, right? So we propose the way to solve it. So we help also you to learn how to solve your issues. So this is part of all the enterprise thing, right? And before we go, so the point here is that they built a platform, they made this bet on us, and we are very proud they made it. So now they will have in their the opportunity to take from the shelter more and more, because we are growing the platform as much as we can. And we you know, I guess that will be a very nice thing in the future. So thank you, Fabio, and I guess that there will be a little demo and to show that.
Yeah, it's not a real demo, it's just a video, okay? Sorry, here. Okay, so this is our Cortex interface, and I'm sorry, it's in Italian, but I suppose that it's not a problem for many of you. And okay, this is our interface. So right there we can create a new Rancher cluster, and we have, sorry, this is a bug, but we have an OpenStack as a service as the backend. So as you can see, okay, we can select Rancher, better RK2 version, and the cloud provider, and the region of the cloud provider where you want to deploy Rancher infrastructure, Rancher cluster. Okay, and for this demo, this is of course a demo client, demo customers. So we have just 3 flavor for size for our worker nodes, that is small, medium, and large, and we can enable the auto scaling if the cloud provider supports, or if the provider supports. For example, OpenStack can. Okay, we can choose which CNI and which CSI we want to install with RK2 clusters. And right now we are supporting just this, but we are working to add more CNI and more CSI. And sorry, okay, for the very last part, we can add some add-ons. So for example, new vector for the security part, and custom key 10 if you want the backup of pods and stuff like this. And to custom key 10 can enable the disaster recovery function. Okay, so the cool part for me is that, okay, in the last section is the total of amount of cost, okay? This is a demo account, so everything is at €0, but if this will be, if this is a, how can I say, a real customers, okay? We can see what is the cost of our choice. So, okay, and create the Rancher cluster. Okay, what's happened here? Well, the CSP in the backend is how can I say? It's spawning instances based on the flavor, on the size small in that case, and install on that VMs the RK2 software, and also create the cluster inside the Rancher dashboard using the API. So in a couple of minutes, okay, this is a video, so there are some cuts. We have, okay, the cluster in active state, and of course my recording is finished. I'm sorry, but if you click on demo on the name of the cluster, you will be redirected to the your Rancher portal, your Rancher dashboard, and you can use the single sign-on to access and see everything. And the users is the same of the Cortex. Okay, so just last slide for me. And next, well, from Maggioli perspective, we are trying to add a new vector to complete the entire stack. New vector is the security solution of Rancher, okay, and it's included in Rancher Prime subscription, and we have, how can I say, we can use the airbag of Rancher and stuff like this that are pretty cool. And the second thing is the observability, because right now we are using different tools, for example, Prometheus, Grafana, and stuff like this. But we want to use the observability that is integrated in Rancher, so we can use the same platform for everything. And from CloudFire perspective, I talked about the operators, okay, it's in a generic way, but we want to try to use AI agent to, how can I say, use natural language to interact with custom resources and stuff like this.